With free agency 1 week away, we have Vinny Curry in studio to give us the perspective of the player as the Eagles move on from Darius Slay. We talk about it all coming up next on the PHLY Eagles podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles show on a beautiful Monday afternoon. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman, joined in studio by the legend himself, Super Bowl champion Vinny Curry, with us. Vinny, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I missed you guys.
Good to see you. We don't get a lot of, usually you're talking to Zach on the TV. It's the screen on the back and forth on the postgame show. Nice to get the two of you in the same room together.
Special moment, man.
I'm bigger in person, right?
Yeah, man, big swole.
That makes it 175 consecutive interactions in which Zach has made that joke. Zach, how you doing? How was your weekend?
Doing great. It was exciting. I'm excited for the show. Excited for what's ahead. 1 week from today, we'll be in the middle of our free agency special.
Yes.
Right. So this happens quickly this time of year. Excited for that. But busy weekend, doing a lot of work and good stuff. I love March covering the NFL.
Go to allphly.com if you are a diehard. Zach Berman did a real method acting experience and went and became Howie Roseman, put out the 25-step guide to the Eagles offseason. So check that out. We will discuss that as the week goes on. A busy week. We've got Quackatology coming up, all that good stuff. But we start with some Eagles news and some very important Eagles news on this Monday. The Eagles, I believe Adam Schefter had it first, will be releasing Darius Slay with a post-June 1st designation. Zach, tell us first what that means for like their cap and all that stuff, because this was a move that you did predict in your 25-step guide.
So the bottom line is the Eagles will save $4.3 million in cap space this year. They'll be able to spread the cap hit over 2 years. But you're allowed 2 post-June 1st designations. So it doesn't affect anything from Slay's perspective. He'll still be able to speak to teams, sign wherever he wants, but the Eagles will be able to spread that cap hit between this year and next year. So they'll add $4.3 million of cap space. It'll push them up to about 26 plus. You'll continue to see more moves during the next week to add some cap space here and there. They won't be flush with space, but they'll have more. And so what this means, though, is the Eagles are moving on ostensibly from one of the best cornerbacks in modern Eagles history. There's always the chance he could come back. He could see what the market is and say he'll sign for less money here. He came back 2 years ago, actually, when the Eagles were prepared to move on as well. But the Eagles' depth chart's different now than it was then. And with Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Keely Ringo, we'll see what happens with Isaiah Rodgers. The Eagles have more options at corner than they had 2 years ago.
Vinny, we were talking before the show just about your memories. You played one season with Slay in 2020, and you said it felt like longer.
Yeah, it definitely felt like longer. I was, man, like Slay is one of the most competitive guys I ever played with. And what he brings to the game, like you said, he got to go down in Eagle history as the most modern times, the best.
I think there's a case to be made. I think you could make a case that he's the second or third best corner in Eagles history, and after Eric Allen and maybe Troy Vincent.
And my thing is, Slay just come back.
You want him to come back?
Yeah.
Okay. Even at that, because that's a position that does not age well. You don't really see
He's
a history.
34 years old.
Yeah,
now.
You don't see a history of 34-year-old corners. The Eagles have young options here. You would still want him to come back from like sentimental purposes, or you think he can still play?
I think he still play. I personally feel like we watch Cooper DeJean, these guys really grow up in front of our eyes throughout the season. That don't happen, by itself. We got to have some type of leadership at that position and mentorship at that position to learn from. I would say he don't have to play as much.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But you are we ready just to throw the guys into the fire after coming off a Super Bowl run? Because now you now had you look into the conference, guys, people are loading up on receivers.
Yeah.
And that's they're going to try to really attack
Mm-hmm.
us there because, lockdown city,
Yep.
but I would definitely see if I could bring them back for, a good price.
I do think that because Quinyon Mitchell made such an impressive debut season and an early first impression, and because Cooper DeJean got all those highlights, that it was a little bit underrated just how good Slay himself was
Correct.
this season. Took to the Vic Fangio defense. I think one thing that he proved during his time in Philadelphia is that he was much more physical than he was given credit for coming in. And in terms of how the Eagles sit now at cornerback, I mean, they've got, as we said, DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. They've got Keely Ringo on the come. They think that he could be a starting caliber corner. Isaiah Rodgers is also a free agent, so they will have to decide. Zach, do you think that this means that they're likely to bring Isaiah Rodgers back and have him compete with Keely Ringo, or do you think they'd maybe dip their toe into what is actually in a pretty bad free agent class, a pretty good group of like 1-year dart throw guys at corner?
Yeah, so I do think they'll have a dart throw guy at corner. I just think that dart throw guy is going to be Isaiah Rodgers. I don't think they're going to sign someone to start over Keely Ringo. I think they'll have someone compete with Keely Ringo. And so Isaiah Rodgers makes a lot of sense from that perspective. Now, we'll discuss this week about what we think Isaiah Rodgers' market's going to be. I think it's within the range of the dart throw player. So that's the path I would choose. And I wrote that today. I would re-sign Isaiah Rodgers, have him compete with Ringo, have your top 4 be DeJean, Mitchell, then the Rodgers-Ringo combination. I think that's a good enough secondary.
Let me ask you this. So do you put Coop out on the outside?
It's a great question. We talked about that. I would personally, and then I would bounce him inside in nickel situations, but I would have him play every single snap of the game, have him play out. They, as Bo pointed out last week, they don't play base that often.
Yeah. I mean, last year, we were talking about like 4 or 5 snaps a game.
Well, so that's basically where I'm just come from the safe school of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like let's just go into year 2 because you throw him out there now.
Yeah,
you throw him out there. You throw him out there and you think he's ready. Like fully ready, and then you don't want to be on the back end like, damn, I wish we still had Slay a little bit. Just so you can work with him a little bit. Now you can ease him in out there a little bit.
And a position where confidence means so much, right? And so you know that he's a stud inside. Now, I think Cooper DeJean is wired to handle that well.
Correct.
But, if he's on the outside and it doesn't go as well as it did in the nickel, does that affect him at all? Those are the things that Howie has to be thinking about, right?
Well, confidence is key in Philadelphia. If it can go super well, it might not. But Zach could pop up on that screen, and then you know what I mean. Yeah. Like that goes a long way. That's all I'm saying. Like you could throw him straight into the fire, or you could let him flirt with it a little bit to a fully transitioning going in there. So I would say that veteran presence being there. If you could give him for a very good price now if his price is way out of pocket, then you got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean?
So we discussed this on Friday's show, and I saw some comments in there and on social media that they would never move Cooper DeJean outside. He's so good in the slot, and I agree with that. That said, the reason I agree he's so good in the slot. The reason I could see them move him on the outside, first off, they scouted him as an outside corner. Correct. They think he can play on the outside. If you just look at the value of an outside corner in this league, a high-level starter, even like a good starter, is a $12, $15 million position. It's harder to find a good outside corner than it is a good slot corner. So I could see the Eagles say, now, maybe that doesn't happen this year because Keely Ringo is an outside. He's not an inside guy. Isaiah Rodgers, they like him more on the outside than the inside. So unless the Eagles were to draft or sign a slot, I would say Cooper's still the best option there. But I think long-term, the plan is to have Cooper on one side and Quinyon on the other.
Oh, for sure. I'm definitely with that. It's just, like you said, you're really not in base that much. So if Coop not in the inside, and that's become a very position of need. Yeah. Because when you look at the defense and you see how well they was number 1 in categories, you understand that. Yes.
Yeah.
Now we was number 5 or 6, and I'm like, I'm all for it. Yeah, do it right now.
Right, but when you're
talking about number 1, you went from let's hunt to now you don't hunt it.
Yep.
You know,
Ooh, I like that.
That's all I'm saying. It's just like
You practice that one? That was a good one.
No, I just know how to be I just know how what it was to be a young guy and just like, all right, okay, yeah, he ready. Do a flying flames. One little beat move on a bomb that you keep seeing. How you know? And next thing you know, it's like a snowball effect. You know what I mean? So
I think that optionality is part of why bringing Rodgers back would make sense because we saw him get to play inside at the end of the season, which was not what he did initially. And so then you could have an opportunity to potentially keep him inside if DeJean's on the outside. I want to ask you a little bit more about Slay, though, Vinny, because you said something that's interesting. You said he's one of the most competitive guys you've ever played with. And I think I was guilty of this early in his career because he has such a sort of silly personality, it seems like, from the outside. You can misunderstand him as being someone who doesn't take football seriously, when in fact he is, as you said, one of the guys who cares about football and loves football as much as anybody.
You know, that's just his confidence is out of this world. Like, I remember having a team meeting when he came to the team, and Jim goes, "I stood on the table. I'll do whatever for this dude. That's how much confidence and belief in it." And guess what? We ain't rolling. We ain't rolling nobody down. You on the island by yourself. And I'm like, God damn, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you see him lock people up, and he tell you big play Slay. Like, in this day of time, you can't just give yourself a nickname. You know what I mean? you just can't. Yeah. But he's been living up to it. And like you just said, he's 34. And the Quinyons and the Cooper DeJeans, like, yeah, they had great seasons, but Slay still was locking people up, but it could get overshadowed because we so energetic by young energy. But man, the dude still could play, man.
I mean, the pick he made against the Packers in the playoffs was an insane play.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I've always thought too that you can tell a lot about a player from like our line of work by how quickly someone answers the phone to talk about them. And you did that piece a few years ago when he was with Detroit about like that personality, and you were able to get, I think, Calvin Johnson and Nate Burleson. Like when people like that are ready to talk about their teammate, that says something. And even in the Eagles locker room, when I've described him, he's like your favorite player's favorite teammate because when you talk to guys about him, their eyes light up. He does a lot behind the scenes with some of these younger guys, with Quinyon, with Cooper. A.J. Brown called him one of the best teammates he's had, like things like that.
And let me tell you, you ask him about any other player in the league, he's going to tell you about him.
Yeah.
It's wild because you're like, how you even got time to even, like, I'm telling you, though. Like, that's how you tell the man, most nights don't sleep on him. Like, he does, he always one step ahead on different things and how people going to play him. Like, when you start realizing, like, okay, this is the type of player I am, or this slowing down might not work. He just keep going in that toolbox, and that's a great thing to have when you got young corners to learn from. I mean, you know what I mean? They can learn from this guy, man. And like I said, I played 1 year with him. I feel like I played a couple of years with him, man. That's crazy.
Well, now Zach, you tweeted out the story.
I also think. I'm sorry.
I was going to say you tweeted out the story. I want to ask Vinny, how good was the banana pudding?
Yo, banana pudding was good.
Yeah.
Yo. At least before you go, leave me a little batch.
Yeah.
Leave it at NovaCare or something like that. I come get that thing.
Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah. Well, just two things. First off, as you're saying that, it did come to mind. Slay's been on record saying this will be his last year. He wants to play 13 years. His kids are down in Texas. His wife's down in Texas. So actually, Jen Slay hasn't had the banana pudding in the locker room as much this year because like she has to be in town for the home game for it, right? But no, what I was gonna add to that. I think there's a misconception about Slay sometimes because of how it was in Detroit with Matt Patricia. That was more based on like pride. He didn't like being called out by Patricia. He's someone who really takes the craft seriously. He's obsessed with football, like you said. He takes great care of himself. He's never had an ounce of alcohol in his life, from what I understand. Right. He is someone who, like, he's maniacal about being in shape. And so you talk about the age. That's how he's been able to last that long, too. He can still run at this age.
And when you spoke to him for that story, Zach, I mean, his understanding was that this probably was his end of his road in Philadelphia. This is not a surprise to him.
No, not a surprise. He was kind of talking like that championship game was the last round. He said he would love to come back in his career here. he'd be happy to play in Detroit. But I think he acknowledged that, like, first off, he saw Quinyon Mitchell. He saw Cooper DeJean. He told Quinyon, "You're here to take my job," right? And so I don't think this is a surprise to Darius Slay today.
Okay, let me ask you this. When it's all said and done, do you see Darius Slay as a Lion or Eagle?
Good question. I don't think he's going to be with the Eagles.
Now, he said on a recent podcast that if he leaves the Eagles,
Yeah.
he would like to sort of end his career in Detroit. That's
Yeah.
attractive to him.
I don't know the Lions depth chart well enough to tell you. I mean, I know they've been looking for corners in the past.
No, I'm talking about when he hangs it up.
Gotcha. Oh, an Eagle.
I think he's an Eagle.
An Eagle.
He won a Super Bowl.
He won a Super Bowl.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like that is the final, that's the final thing for me is you only want one more run at this thing.
Yeah.
You got a chance to go back to back.
I don't know how interested the Eagles are. I think it might be from the Eagles' perspective too.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
That's a different
Like,
story.
and I think Slay's, this is his last chance of getting paid, right? Like, life's different when you're playing football than when you're not playing football.
Right.
And so I don't know how much the Eagles are looking to spend at corner this offseason.
What will be your enduring Darius Slay memory, Zach, as an Eagle, if this is the end of the road?
Yeah. Good question, Bo. Similar to what Vinny was just saying, that what jumps out to me is like how much this guy loved football. There's a lot of players in that locker room who are really good at football, but they don't love, like, they're not watching the NFL when they're not playing. Darius Slay, if you talk to him on a Friday, he'll know exactly what happened in the game the night before. If you talk to him in April, he'll give you a breakdown of every corner coming out in the draft.
Crazy.
He used to go to high school games on like the Friday, their Friday night off. So for me, it's like every time the Eagles played, every game, I would go up to Slay and he'd give me a breakdown of the wide receiver he was facing. And you don't usually get like he would know stats. He know how long they were in the league. He would tell me specific matchups they had in the past. So to me, the enduring memory is those conversations. And then also he had a bad first year, or that first year wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And he rebounded to be, 5 seasons here, 3 Pro Bowls, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl ring. That's a damn good resume.
4 touchdowns. Very good with the ball in his hands.
Great
when he got
point.
the ball in his hands.
Great point.
He was. It remains kind of not a great bet that the Eagles made on a cornerback of that age.
Yeah.
And it turned out better than I think they could have hoped for.
You're right.
And as you talk about, 3 Pro Bowl seasons, all after the age of 30, playing at the high level that he did. And I think part of, this is like you talk about with Trent Cole, right? Darius Slay's legacy with this team will continue through Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean as they continue their careers, right? Like what they learned from him will carry on.
Playing against Slay, you already know it's gonna be man to man. That's you know how hard that is. Not that ask for no help.
Crazy. Yeah. It's probably the hardest thing in football, right?
Yo, it is like, man, if you see him on game, they be locked in, and it's like you just leave him alone. Not like all the joking stuff go out the window. Like, he getting man to man. You know he going man to man. Think other people just the seasons he's been here. Just think about all the corners that's even been in the NFC East. Yeah, I'm just talking about that. Just like this guy is going man to man, and he's up to this challenge. That was to be a part of that and see that, like, damn, he already know it ain't no help. Whatever happened is like, damn.
I will say, Zach, based on the videos from the parade, I don't know if Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean can say the same thing about never having had a drop of alcohol.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not. That's fair to say.
All right, let's take a quick break. Good conversation about big play Slay. And on the other side, we want to hear from Vinny about what it is like to be a free agent and like get all these phone calls and decide where you're going to live for the next couple of years. TrueMark Financial. It's almost spring, and that means it's time to spring into those savings. If you have financial goals, whether it's buying a house, taking that dream vacation, or building your emergency fund, TrueMark Financial Credit Union has the perfect savings account for you. TrueMark Financial offers high-rate certificates and money market accounts to help your money grow faster and work harder for you. Visit TrueMark.com, that's TrueMark.com, for rates and to learn more. federally insured by the NCUA. Rates are subject to change. Visit TrueMark.com for rates and to learn more. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by the NCUA. Equal opportunity lender. Rates are subject to change.
On the birthday party circuit again this weekend, driving around, and man, that sun was bright. And I needed sunglasses in the car. I look in there, I got my Shady Rays. It might be cold here in Philly, but it's never too early to start thinking about summer and the sun. Our friends at Shady Rays are helping you get the right frame of mind. I see what they did there with their premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their sunglasses have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all of our outdoor adventures. If you're a skier or snowboarder, Shady Rays has a brand new collection of snow goggles to help you see clearly and look good on the slopes. I'm not a skier, but you know what? I like watching football. It gets sunny out there, and I need my Shady Rays. But sometimes I'm in a rush after practice. I might, forget them in the press conference tent or not there the next day. Good thing to know is that if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by their lost or broken replacement program. If you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. The team always has your back with personal and fast support. PHLY viewers and listeners, go to ShadyRays.com and save 35% off polarized sunglasses with code PHLY. Over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars, so use code PHLY today at ShadyRays.com.
All right, Vinny. Free agency really begins in a week. That's when the tampering period starts, and you'll hear who is signing where. We both have a lot of questions for you about like what free agency is like as a player. Let's start with the first time you were headed to free agency in 2016. You didn't make it to free agency. You signed an extension with the Eagles like a week before, right? And that is, as Zach has said, what the Eagles are probably hoping to do with Zach Baun and lock him up before reaching the market. Why at that point did you feel like it was worth committing and not waiting to see what the rest of the league was going to offer you?
I mean, just at that point, man, I'm playing with my best friends, guys that I still talk to every day to today, you know what I mean? So when you go through that and you know that there was a crazy light and a crazy goal within the group to get to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl, I was like, man, I'm not meant to be a part of this, so it was, and I ain't want to go nowhere else. Let's be honest. At that time and point, you don't want to go nowhere else. You don't want to start over. Being that young, just like, man, stay my ass put.
What's the perspective of players? I know not everyone's the same, but is it like you have a number in mind, and if you hit that number, that's all you need? Or is it like, I want to get every last dime? So to get every last dime is probably going on the open market. But if you have a number and like the Eagles hit that number, is that satisfactory?
Absolutely, but I think social media it's getting crazier. Like the way the media is now, and the way deals are getting the instruction now. I think everybody's they're gonna go get that dollar, the best dollar they could get, the quickest they could get, But in Zach Baun's case, is opportunity is everything. Scheme is everything. I learned that, the second go around, that scheme is everything. Not everybody is going to play you in the scheme that you excel well. So they just think, okay, we got this player. It's like driving a race car. I might not be a good of a driver as Bo is in his race car. So I'm like, this car don't even work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, man, this car ain't even that fast.
Yeah.
I can't bend the corners like this. I'm on 2 wheels. And then Bo, on the other hand, he hit the corner quick. But it's all about scheming who's driving that race car. So if I had a strong advice to Eagles free agents and you got a chance to be signed with the team, understand where they're going to play you at, how they're going to play you, and what's just the scheme. If the scheme don't match up that what made you great, money or no money, is legacy worth it to you, or is the money worth it to you?
Well, that's the thing. Like, so many of these decisions get made, and probably they're not actually made this quickly. But
You're right. I was about to ask this.
You'll get reports of a deal being done 3 minutes into free agency, right? But there have to be so many variables, right? It's not just who offers you the most money because, you know, it can't be, right? You might have family considerations, you have scheme considerations, you have other things. There are just so many variables, and there are so many variables to how these things work out, right? Like I think there are a lot of people who might have, like Zach Baun is the perfect example, like who might not have had the best careers they could have had because they didn't end up in the right place that was able to put them in the right position.
Correct. You know, you go look at us. Like here you got Vinny Curry here. Andy Reid gets fired. We go to a 3-4-2 gap defense. Where am I playing?
Right.
I'm just sitting here like, you know what I mean? It's like,
hey, what about poor old Vinny?
You know what I mean? Like think about it. Like the crazy
all of a sudden
players. Yeah, shout out Bo. The crazy of the players that was getting more opportunity than me at that time was just like, yo, like, am I being punked? You know what I mean? Just, but if you stay the course to understand that things,
that's no disrespect to Brandon Breer. That's
he saved the man's life.
Yeah. No, that's just weird. That's no disrespect.
You know what I mean? But you know, it's just like it was very like some things is just like you don't really understand. But it's like I said.
What's also crazy about that is like that could happen to someone who signs a deal.
That's what I'm saying.
And then all of a sudden they get stuck.
What if Zach signs somewhere and that happens? It's like, you don't really fit this race car. And then like now you got this. Who's the, like somebody else that you never heard of is in front of you, and now you pissed off. Now you're mad. You know, you can't control the narrative of what they saying because media outlets don't know. Yeah. You know how like that was at that time, that for me, I'm just saying for me personally, that was the hardest thing, just keeping your composure like that. And then you become a guy. These guys are never to be heard or seen again. Like, man, what just happened? Type of thing, you know?
So what is the process like? Because Bo alluded to it. I know it's not like you make the decision in 3 minutes, but a lot of times teams need your answer quickly. So does it work that you and your agent leading up to free agency, your agent will say team A, team B, team C is interested. This is what their depth chart is. These are who the coaches are. This is what the money is. And then because what I do know from talking to players and talking to teams is once that clock starts, teams aren't being patient. Like if they don't get an answer, they might be going, unless you're like the top guy, they might be going on to their plan B, their plan C, just because players start signing quickly. So what is that process like this week for a free agent?
I think you really like you really become, your anxiety kicks up. Cause you've been on this team, so you already know that what they're trying to get to or where they. So they say, all right, you're going back and forth, and depending on the player you are or the season that you as well, the season that you've been having. So now you look at it like that team had, let's say, 2 months to understand how important I am to the team. Now the other teams is the ones that was trying to rush, but they're trying to rush because if you're coming from a good team, like think about it, you coming off a Super Bowl winning team, this other team don't wait. So you want to, if the other team doesn't match what the Super Bowl team's giving, or if it's like crazy money over, then you're gonna go. Obviously, you know what I'm saying? You gotta do what's best for you. But at the same time, you can get there and that scheme don't be right, you'll be sick. You know, if you truly care about the game.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And how you play the game. You know what I mean? So
were you the kind of person who, like, did you want to know all the details of the back and forth and negotiations?
Man, when I got to Tampa, I was pissed, bro. I was
really?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear why.
I just remember getting there and I was like, so this second go around, y'all. So
this is after 2017.
Yeah. So it's like when I got there, I remember calling down, trying to call, you know.
Oh, when you got to Tampa, you mean?
Yeah, bro. So I was like before, I was like.
But the Eagles released you at that point, right?
Yeah, I already talked to them.
Yeah, okay.
But
yeah,
it's
okay.
like, yeah, but the Eagles ain't just do that. They're like, are you you serious right now? Like, I was like,
yeah.
You know,
because what they were trying to bring your contract down.
No. They wasn't trying to bring it down. It was just trying to spread it out. But somebody don't explain that to you well enough, depending on agents don't explain to well enough. Understand that some agents out there now also
The incentives are different.
They got a lot of other clients across, so you
Yeah,
understand how this thing could kind of work. So I think at that point in time, I was just like, man, you hot as fish grease coming off the run, and when I got off the plane to get ready to walk in, I was like, damn, it just wasn't very, very settled. Just didn't sit right. So, and that's no disrespect to Tim at all, but just I'm talking about me as a person.
Sure.
So when we did it, it was like right before I could pick up the phone, right? All of a sudden, calls me like, she's like, yo, you here? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yo, the Eagles just picked up such and such.
Michael Bennett probably, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was like, so like, I'm not even about to call nobody. I'm just like, fuck it. I mean, just keep my mouth.
No, you're
At
fine.
this point in the time, I'm just like, whatever. Like, let's just get it on over with, because I had the choice all the way up to that time. And then, let me tell you, if the scheme ain't right, that's why when I came back the following year, bro, one of the best seasons I had. Like, I was going crazy because it was like, that's how much it meant to me. Like, man, hell no.
Now, Bo mentioned at the top of the show, you're deciding where you're gonna live. I'm curious, how much does football matter when these decisions are made? Is it entirely money driven? Does the location matter? If you're deciding and you don't want to move your family to across country, or let's say you're young and you don't want to live in Green Bay, Wisconsin, right? Like how much does this stuff other than football and other than money
have practice facilities ever entered your mind?
How much factors into? Yeah, I'm curious what goes through the player's mind in free agency.
Tampa thing, the taxes is different.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things different. You start looking at that like, I can see this. I can see, what? You start thinking about like, well, I do got a kid now at the time. I know it's like one. I'm like, you know what I mean? So, but, so
I'm gonna have a lot of flag football tournaments I have to pay for.
So at that point, it's just depending on who you are, what you into, that kind of matter. But for me at the time, if I could do that thing over, I would have just stayed in Philly.
No,
because I had the opportunity all the way up to that day.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
To you know what I mean? And that's one thing that I would never ever, I can't never I would always be grateful for the Eagles. Like people are like, man, you love them. Like you just don't understand the relationship. And I'm pretty sure if you just do the right thing, like throughout your career, you know what I'm saying, for Oregon, and they embrace you that way, so I'm pretty sure they're gonna let people, if they're gonna test free agency, they're gonna let you get to your number. How he can, do something with it, he gonna make something shake. If not, then he gonna tell you, you know what I mean, best of luck. All right, my man.
Yeah.
It's also you have that perspective now, but you can understand why you wanted to know what it was like on the other side because you didn't know any better, right? Like I'm sure there will be a lot of people who it might be buyer's remorse, but let's say you play all 8 years at the same place, you might be wondering, what if I did go somewhere else? Like would I have been because you didn't get to be a starter every game, right? With the Eagles, you wanted to be a starter. Like maybe guys want to find out what that's like.
I remember getting a phone call from T. Cole, and he was like, "Don't do it."
Because he had to go to Indy, right?
Yeah. Stay put, V. I was like, man, I'm just curious, man. I'm just curious, but if the scheme ain't right, being curious. Now you go from being curious to very furious.
Yeah.
Curious
to furious.
I like that.
So that's your second big line of the day.
Yeah. Because I'm telling you, bro, that whole thing was crazy. And I remember at the end of that season, right, Super Bowl, we having exit meetings with everybody. Because that was somewhat of a circus down there. But whatever, that's another story.
Tampa, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Tampa. So, and it's like, oh, sure. I was like, man. I remember sitting in my house at the time, and I'm like, man, God damn, what go back to Philly? I swear, that thing happened like, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, Vinny, would you be interested? I'm in.
But you know what though? Like I do think it's human nature. If
I was so happy to see my teammates and everybody.
That's very sweet.
That joke was crazy.
Yeah. But if a company values you at X,
right,
and another company values you at like X plus Y, right, you're like, wow, that place thinks higher of me, right? So isn't that what happens in free agency a lot? Is that if the Eagles say, we really like you, but we like you at $5 million, and another team says, we're willing to pay you 2 years, $15 million.
Right.
That's hard for a player to say, like, you know, as loyal as I am, as much as the football fits here, as much as I care about legacy, like, you know.
At that point, I didn't go through that.
Okay.
So at that point, I didn't go through. Remember, my eyes was more so, let's move it over to this and that. And when you don't really understand that part, that's what happened in my second round with me. So.
Yeah.
But that's part of it. And it's as you said, it's not just the money.
Yeah.
It's the respect.
Exactly.
Right. And
exactly.
so this is the awkward part of the negotiating process with your own team. We talk about it with like arbitration with baseball all the time, right? Like you're with the team and everybody's telling you like, you are the man. We love you so much. Then you get to contract negotiations and we're like, Vinny's trash. I'm not giving him that much money. Like he's pretty mid. Like I'm not giving him that. But then you come back and they're like, oh, Vinny, we love you. We're so happy to have you back. How do you compartmentalize and not worry about like when they're talking you down to try to get your number down and stuff like that?
It's a great question.
No, I got a perfect answer for that.
Yeah.
There's so many media outlets out there now. So nothing that you saying is comparing to the numbers. Everything is digitalized. Everything is Chip Kelly word right here. Computer science, sports science, everything. Everything you do is computer science. How many times you get double team per play? How many times this? How fast does this get off? How does that? Damn, I'm kind of top three in the league. So what happens if I had this much plays, or what happens if you had this opportunity? You know, not too many people like we laugh and joke about that 3-4 thing, but think about it. I was two gapping some jokers.
Sure.
You know, outside linebacker need a break. Guess who got to go to outside linebacker? I'm like, damn. You know, I could go. You go, and this is all visual fact. I had to go to nose guard. I had to go play a 4-eye. I had to go play outside linebacker. You got to learn everything because I'm like, you know what I mean? This guy's getting what?
Yeah.
You know, right here. It's like, man, I need that. Then everything just go ding. So much media outlets is helping these players. Like, think about it. Every time you turn around,
that's interesting.
The next gen got this crazy stat up. Like, that's real. Don't think it like there's somebody like, man, I like this guy, but I like this guy, but I don't know who I should pick, who's faster, who reaction time is fast. Next thing you know, next gen stat says, I'm gonna go home. Yeah. You know what I mean? This is, you know, it's just what it is. So.
But you know what? So and again, I'll defer to you on all player stuff, right? Because you lived it. I only hear it secondhand. But one of the fascinating things to me, and it strikes me as kind of awkward, I've always felt this, is professional sports. It's one of the few industries where everyone knows what each other makes, and that's weird to a certain extent. So look at the Eagles this year, right? The Eagles asked Josh Sweat to take a pay cut last year. Then they go and they pay Bryce Huff $17.5 million a year, right? And so you're Josh Sweat, and you're playing outstanding, you know, or you're playing well this year, right? You have 8 sacks, you have 2.5 sacks in the Super Bowl. And you're looking at it and you're saying, you asked me to take a pay cut last year when you went and you signed this guy for $17.5 million a year, right? It shows you what you thought of me. And I say it's awkward, but I can't tell you how many times there's been conversations in the locker room where players refer to other guys by how much they're making.
What's that age difference? Do we know?
The age difference between Sweat, Sweat is 27, 28, and so maybe 2 years. 2 years. Yeah.
I feel like all that could be made right. You know, he go to your 17 with a little bit of cherry on top.
Yeah.
Apologize, and then you know, you gotta, you know what I mean. Gotta find the right situation for B. So I feel like all that could be made right, but then you have the story of. I'm gonna have to hit free agency. I'm about to hit free agency if you Josh, right? But then everybody's saying bring in another end.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know.
So how much they really think about? Yes,
but if you know Philly, we love edge rushers. We love defensive linemen. So you're always gonna get that kind of. You're always gonna get that. You're always gonna get that. It just was his turn to hit the market. You know, the market was hot, you know. Now the market's hot for Josh. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way defensive lineman market, this is just the way that the cookie crumbles on that.
In your experience, did everyone know what each other made in that locker room?
Of course, right?
Nah, I didn't really pay attention to that. I really didn't pay attention to that. But I will say, the person that used to keep me up on stuff like that, who was it? BG.
It's BG. Okay, BG knew.
BG.
What?
Yes.
Man, that man, between him and Fletch, bro, they know who made what they did, how they did it.
Down to the last
It was
dime.
crazy.
Yeah.
You know, here I am.
I mean, that's good. It's good smack
Be
talk.
worried
Yeah,
about my
like,
job.
yeah.
I'm not a job. I'm just worried about what I got this week to do and all this. That them jokers knew everything. Well, and then it kind of get you started looking into it a little bit.
Sure.
It's like, man, I don't care about that. But then they be on it. They be on it. They was on it because at that time, you know what I mean. It just made the most sense, man. And I'm pretty sure Josh is on it, you know, as well now, because he it's his time right now.
Yeah.
You know, and as a guy that was there in his younger days and seen him run, like it's his time right now, and he deserved everything that's coming his way.
Nick corrects us in the chat. 13-month difference between Josh Sweat and Bryce Thompson, so just a little over a year older. Okay, more questions for Vinny coming up on the other side, but quick, a word from our sponsors. If you have a leaky pipe at Ace Hardware Home Services, they are around the block with everything you need to fix it, including the person to do the fixing. If you've got an air conditioning issue, they've got a person for that. If you've got a faucet you said you would fix last fall, they've got that person too, because now they're not just the helpful hardware folks, they're also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing to heating and cooling, they've got the trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. They're bringing helpful home, the helpful you love, from the store now to your front door. You've heard me talk about it before. Ace Hardware Home Services has come up clutch for me in the past. Had an issue with the water heater. They came the same day, fixed that bad boy, all ready to go. High recommendation for Ace Hardware Home Services. You can visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project.
Did you know that hair loss is so common that by age 35, 2/3 of men already experience hair loss and thinning? Don't stress. Glatt Hair's got you covered with cutting-edge hair treatments like TED, PRP, and exosomes, exosomes. They help you keep the hair you already have and help bring back what you've already lost. It's not surprising that the Glatt Hair name has such a distinguished reputation. With over 30 years of experience in restoring hairlines, it's clear why patients repeatedly choose the Glatt Hair team. Glatt Hair has perfected the Glatt Hair technique, which includes one-on-one care, a 100% personalized hair restoration plan tailored specifically for you and your hair loss, follow-up care, hair loss prevention treatments, and additional services. Glatt Hair by Morgenstern Medical is the country's premier hair restoration destination. Ready to defend your hairline? Visit glatthairmm.com, or you can call or text 610-980-4000, and one of the team members will get you all set up.
Vinny, I'm curious from like a specifically Eagles perspective, when you were negotiating with the Eagles, like how much, who are you hearing from? Are you specifically, you're hearing from Dom? Like, are you hearing from Howie specifically?
I would say a little bit, yeah, everybody. I'm telling you, man, like it was just such a smooth process.
Is it you or the agent? Like they're talking
they
to
told
you?
you the agent. They told you the agent.
But they must be talking to
I
you
have
too,
a personal
right?
relationship
Sure.
with you know, you.
Yeah, Jake there
They
at the
come
time.
get you at 22, 23 years old, man. And
Yeah.
next thing you know, they just watch you just blossom. Like, you just not about to go cold turkey on them. Like,
Right.
oh, like,
Yeah.
you know, I never understand why the guys did that. You know what I mean? Or they be like, oh, I don't want to make things awkward. Where ain't nothing be made awkward. Either you want me back or you don't. You know what I mean? It's no hard feelings, you know?
Well, something I've heard is that the agents don't want the team communicating with the player because they'll
100%.
appeal to the players, you know, for the reason you said.
Right,
It's like, I've known you since you were 22.
Yeah.
The agent's like, hey, don't do that to
I
my
mean,
guy.
everybody got a job to do, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when it's understood and, you know, there's no feelings involved and understand how we got a job to do, your agent got a job to do, you know.
But did you have that perspective when you were younger?
As far as everybody got a job to do?
Yeah.
Nah, because I told you, we just got finished about a couple players that in front of me, I was freaking pissed off.
Right.
Like, yo, come on, man.
I think that
You know
comes
what I
that comes
Yeah.
with growing up. Like,
But at that time, he had his
sure.
problems with Chip at the time. So it was like, I still was, you know,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right.
Understanding, like, you know, but I'm like, damn, man, like, you know.
And then what's it like for players under contract during free agency? Because, you know, I spoke to guys this year when the Eagles signed Saquon, and they're all like, what? Like, they're looking at their phones. They're getting texts. Are players following free agency? Are they, you know, are they checking what Adam Schefter's saying? Like, what's going on for players on the team next week?
I think free agency, players is cooler. When that draft come around, y'all see, that draft come around.
Yeah.
Remember when he tried to trade Jason Peters, me, Brandon Grant? I remember that. You know, let's get
For Marcus Mariota.
Oh, let's not get.
I thought it was Fletch and Kendrick. No?
I remember getting,
Okay.
and I remember getting on a plane, and it's me, Brandon Grant. We happen to be all together.
Really?
We're going to watch Floyd Mayweather fight.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, damn, can y'all imagine if we all got traded once we get off this plane? It's like, yo.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, I just remember going to sleep. Like, I was like, trying to like, keep your composure. I'm like, damn, man, I'm not, like, this is a sad moment. This is like the last time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, man, this man better not do that.
Yeah.
But, you know that with Big Dom in the building, you know that wasn't going down like that.
So he had that pull. So.
We ain't get traded. I'm not saying who had the pool who did, but we ain't get traded.
So how do you feel about this Eagles free agency coming up here? You talked about Sweat. How do you feel about Milton Williams potentially going and getting like $20+ million a year?
I want to say, man, like, listen, one thing about being on a great team and being great, Coach was saying, you can't be great without the greatness of others, man. But at the same time, you throwing alley-oops to others. Yeah. You know, to secure the bag for their family. But I like the class they got at I like the D tackles we got on the roster.
Yeah.
You know, that one is just like a, you know, that I like it.
Yeah.
You know,
you can't keep everybody, unfortunately.
Right, you know, and I kind of like that. I like that class. So I don't think that will be. That's one of those like, man, congratulations. You know,
you earned it.
Yeah, yep. So,
but as you said before, it is rare that the Eagles let a player leave in free agency and end up regretting it. And we talked about this last week. I think Jordan Hicks is probably the last one to go, and even that is not like, you know, how he's not rolling over in bed every night wondering about that one. Milton Williams is a player who, given the Eagles' organizational priorities, like a young, homegrown defensive lineman, it is rare for them to let a player like him go. But I do think it is most likely that they're going to let him go.
Right. But I think Howie likes that room as well. You know, it's like, Milton, you a beast, but there's some dogs in that room. You know what I'm saying? That's waiting for their opportunity now to shine and grow with this fan base. You know, because this be like the amount of Eagle fans that you run into now compared to like 5-6 years ago is crazy.
Yeah, that's fair. Go ahead, Zach. Oh, we have a special guest who's called in. Who do we have? The Duff Man.
What's up, guys?
What's
How you
up,
doing?
man?
How's it going?
Good, man. I was telling everybody, I said, I missed you all.
Well, that's what I was. I got back in Philly early. My flight landed like an hour early, and so I was able to listen to the whole show. And I was like, I miss you guys. I want to call in. And join the show.
We miss you. Look at that.
You spent like an entire week away from your family in Indianapolis, and we're the ones you missed.
They're at school right now.
I know.
Hey, Duff,
I'm going to pick Francis up from school a little bit.
Yeah.
They asked me, Fran, they said, what is the guys thinking about in free agency while free agency is going on? I said, that's already on the current roster. I said, it's not really that they thinking about, but it's thinking about the crazy moves that the surprise blockbuster deals and trades and will and dealing that goes on during the draft process. You know, that's what really the meat and potatoes come through with if you're already on the roster.
Yeah, I've been listening to most of the show, so I've heard a lot of what you guys have talked about when it comes to like the the process and Vinny, like the insight you were able to give just on like the player's perspective is so interesting. Like especially going through it like as free agency is happening. Did you start to feel that anxiety as you knew like all right everybody's going out to the combine to Indianapolis and negotiations are happening? Were you feeling that, or did you try and detach yourself from that?
I tried to. I actually took. She's my wife now, but we actually went out the country.
Oh, where'd you go?
Yeah. To DR.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want the stress.
Yeah, right. So then, anybody who knows me know I don't really like vacation, right? So here I am trying to
sound like
vacation.
Zach.
Yeah, you and me both.
Zach, when I tell you, so when I landed, right, so the first day, it was all cool and smooth, right? But now my anxiety kick in, and I'm like, man, we got to get out of here.
Yes.
My phone ain't ringing.
Both of you on vacation, checking your phone.
My wife like,
I can't believe what Jeff McClain wrote.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much.
So.
Well, Fran, first of all, we're very happy to see you. Tomorrow's going to be a big Fran day. We have the debut of the PHLY draft show being live tomorrow at noon.
Can't wait to watch that. Yeah.
We're going to have a live show with Fran, his combine review, and maybe some questions from the chat. Not a mailbag, but just sort of a question and answer type
God
deal.
forbid a mailbag, yeah.
And then at 2:00, you're going to join us as well for the PHLY Eagles show. We're gonna dip our toe into quackatology. But Vinny, I wanted to ask you, because Fran just got back from the combine. He was there watching all these guys. You were watching the edge guys.
Yes.
Who stood out to you? Who made your eyes pop?
Okay, so Fran, you already know who I was really big on. But the two guys that kind of had me like, three. I would say three. And I just know what school, and then you can help me out from there. I like the kid from Texas A&M, Tennessee, and Georgia.
Okay, so that was probably Shamar Stewart.
Shamar Stewart.
Yeah, James Pierce Jr. And then Georgia was probably so there's Michael Williams. I don't think he didn't work out though. So I'm trying to think of.
Could it be Jalen Walker?
There's
Jalen Walker.
Jalen Walker, but Ingram Dawkins was the defensive lineman.
It was definitely Jalen Walker because. So a little bit of why I say that to say this is when you saw them go through some of the drills, you could constantly see the get off. And Fran, you was there. So did you see a lot of guys not putting what they call cleats in the ground? It was coming out their shoe.
Yeah, so they put a new turf in. They put a new turf in, and these guys. This was the first event. Yeah, this was the first event that they ran on the new turf. So that's a good eye.
I find this so. You do this all the time, Vinny. I cannot believe how closely you're able to watch like the guys' cleats interacting with the.
You have to. This is you talk about life changing process.
Yeah.
How can you see that from the TV?
Because I was like this. I was like looking into it. You want to, because listen, you want to, like, now you in the podcast where you want to be able to, interact. And then I'm like, all right, let me watch this. And it's just like the linebackers. I thought the linebackers killed it. I thought they, for me, I'm just saying position group, I thought they was the ones that I was like, oh, damn, there's some athletic. It was guys that, 6'2", 235, running like a dare, move and on the drop of a dime and change direction. I was like, oh yeah, this is what they say.
Vinny, your combine was my first combine. And I remember your class was still one of the classes that those guys would be out in like regular baggy like gym shorts and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, those guys would not wear that now because that's going to take like 1/10 off of a second on all your time.
I'm telling you.
But that turf, that impacted the week. I mean, the times were a little bit slower across the board. You saw guys tripping and stumbling throughout. And even yesterday, watching the offensive lineman, Will Campbell was one of the first reps for the one drill. And he took a spill. Like he went down hard and got back up and finished the rep. But you saw that the guys were getting their cleats in the ground and getting stuck in the ground a little bit throughout the course of the week.
And everything you do at the combine is getting looked at for some reason. So now here is new turf. You go perform, and if you fall because the cleat got stuck in the ground or come off your off your foot. Now I don't know about the turf. Now if I'm a scout. I'm like, I ain't put the cleat in the ground. And then the next guy going, you like, whoa, did you see how fast he went through there? So that's the thing about the combine, man. It's just,
Now, Bo and Fran had a great draft show last week when they spoke about Fran's process, but they also spoke about like what matters for specific positions from your perspective. And now that Fran's on, when you're watching edge rushers at the combine or D linemen at the combine, let's say, what matters most to you? Is there athletic testing that matters most to you? Are there drills that matter most to you? What sticks out to Vinny Curry at the combine?
Pause moment, but I don't like robot stiff type of edge rusher. It's not my style. Like I like,
At
I
the
want to see
bend,
get
yeah.
off. I want to see the bend. I want to see the cleats in the ground.
Yeah.
I want to see when you hit the bag, how fast did that hip turn around. Fred, here's another thing. I want you to go back and check this out. When they was going through the gauntlet and they would come off, boom, and they do the spin. Some guys was not spinning tight to the hash or to the damn bag. That was pissing me off because I'm like, dude, if this is the biggest moment of your life, how you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you think you was kind of uneasy about it, stay out of the drill, make everybody come to your pro day.
Not only that, Vinny, there were 3 or 4 guys where the coaches had to yell, like, finish the drill. There are guys like pulling up and like they're not even like going through urgency to finish the rep out. That was something too that happened with not just the D lineman but even the O lineman yesterday. That's honestly because you know this. A lot of this workout they're trying to see like, all right, we're going to put you through the paces and it's going to go fast and we're going to try and wear you out. Who are the guys that can sustain that same level of urgency from start to finish? And you saw some of the guys were able to do it and some were not.
This is crazy. It's insane.
Was there anybody, Fran, from that edge group who you hadn't studied yet, who made you excited to go back and watch?
No, I have actually the edge group I did a lot of work on. So in terms of like the guys that worked out, where that caught out, most of the guys that stood out were guys that I had studied already. I'm excited to do more on Landon Jackson just because he was a guy that I was high on. I wanted to see what he would look at. I thought he was awesome in the workout. And so now it's like, all right, I'll go back and watch even a little bit more with him from Arkansas. But to me, he's a guy that I felt good about walking away from that Thursday. I felt that this is a guy that's going to go in the top 35, where if he didn't look as good, because it was a little bit of a lukewarm Senior Bowl. So like, what was that going to look like? No, he looked really, really good.
And what about Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M, who did not have a great track record of production, but is a physical marvel and tested well? You are not super high on him based on your rankings on allphly.com right now, but how do you feel about him as a potential option at 32?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that honestly, he's going to be gone by the time the Eagles pick. I think that the traits are too good that he would last to that point. It would be surprising if he were to make it. The test scores that he was able to do, I mean, were outstanding. And then he had to pull out with an injury, so he didn't get to make it to the back end of testing and through the positional workout. But I think when you look at his size, his movement skills, he's going to go somewhere in the teens, if not before that. I would be shocked even if he got to like the mid-20s, just because I think the skill set there is too intriguing. But at the end of the day, I think the depth of this class, like maybe there's a chance that he were to slide. I would find that hard to believe. But I agree to your point. I'm not as high on him just because to me, when I watch him, I don't see a guy that's always consistently able to like find a way to win at the top of the rush. Like, I don't know. I remember watching this defensive end out of Marshall in 2012 and seeing a guy that constantly knew like how to be able to win at the top of the rush. Like maybe he did it with his hands, maybe he did it with power. He had the ability to win with effort.
Thanks for watching on Fast. Make sure you watch the rest of the episode on PHLY.com.
Nice job. But to me, when I'm looking at Stewart, like the pressure numbers, like all the metrics point to it as well. Like the pressure rate is low, the win rate is low. He's not the what is the saying? It's like the whole is less than the sum of the parts. I think that's the kind of where I'm at right now with Shamar Stewart.
That pass rusher from Marshall you spoke about back in 2012, he had I think 11 sacks his senior year, 12 sacks junior year. Is that right?
Right.
I heard this out in Indy last week, and you've heard it over the years. Sacks is a stat that translates. Do both of you feel that way? Do both of you feel that if you're a guy who gets to the quarterback in college, you're going to be a guy who gets to the quarterback in the NFL?
Right. I think so. And my biggest thing is I'm big on impact.
Okay.
I'm big on impact. Those days I think I had like 98 tackles, maybe like 30 tackles for loss. It's crazy, like, because you want that to be an impact. So if Marshall was going to play Ohio State, what did you do?
Right.
It's a stretch that we went from playing Ohio State to or West Virginia back-to-back weeks. It was something crazy. And then next thing you know, you're sitting there like 6 sacks in 4 weeks. It's like, this feels pretty good. You know, they talk about me, or they say my name on ESPN and stuff like that. But I'm big on impact. And like you said, if your win rate is not where it should be at, now if a guy comes to Philadelphia when your win rate not supposed to be at, and the fans is on that ass, do that player even care? No, this is who I am. He's like,
well, it's funny. I've pulled up your spider chart here from the combine, Vinny. Okay, so 6'3", 266 for an edge, 32nd percentile height, 55th percentile weight, vertical jump, 35th percentile, arm length, 20th percentile, hand size, 12th percentile. I don't know about this guy, but broad jump only 20%, vertical jump 35th%, but the 3-cone, 93rd percentile. My man's moving around the edge, 6.9 seconds. Maybe that's what attracted you to the Eagles.
Yeah, well, it's about getting the cleats in the ground. You know, it's because at the end of the day, the only time you should see a DN running in 40 yards down the field is if we go to extra play. Yeah. But other than that, within my area,
yeah, turn the corner,
man, crazy. You know, but that goes to show you that translated all the way through my career. Get off, you know, either get in there or you might lead the team in quarterback hits, and it's cute, but I wish it was sacks. You know what I'm saying? You'd be pissed off, like you know what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, and to me, like there were guys. Look, Jalen Carter didn't have a huge production profile. Nolan Smith didn't have a huge production profile, but I was still really high on both players because you could feel their impact through the game. Even with the Eagles, like when you watch Jalen Carter, I mean, he had he finished with like 1 tackle in the Super Bowl. When you watch the film, you're like, man, like Jalen Carter made his presence felt from start to finish. Same with Nolan Smith, right? You feel Nolan Smith and the impact that he can have. And when I'm watching Shamar Stewart, like I didn't always feel that in the 3 or 4 games that I studied so far.
All right, Fran. Thank you so much for surprising us.
Great work this week, Fran. It was awesome.
Fran.
Check out allphly.com. Become a diehard to check out all that good stuff. We'll see you tomorrow. Double dipping with our Fran. Tomorrow at noon, live with the PHLY Draft Show.
Tomorrow noon. Everybody check it out. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
All right, Vinny. I think you're going to be happy to answer this super chat question that we have coming up. This is from Kirk, who says, Vinny, as a WWE fan, your thoughts on the John Cena heel turn, and is he in your Mount Rushmore of the best all time? Is he in your top 4?
I'm glad somebody asked me that.
I know you are.
I was thinking about that when I drive up, but like nowhere. I was just like,
I wasn't.
Let me explain to you. So Zach, take Hulk Hogan for instance.
Yes.
Right. You remember when he turned heel and the NWO came out?
No, he doesn't remember that.
Where do you go to school at?
Where did Hulk Hogan go to school?
No. I was just saying, everybody. So wherever you was at, somebody had an NWO shirt on.
Oh yeah, I remember people were into that.
So let me. All right, no. They only wore NWO shirt because Hulk Hogan turned heel.
Okay.
Without Hulk Hogan turning heel, there's no NWO. Yeah. Like that was like a shocker. Like I went to Eat Your Vitamin, Say Your Prayers. I'm from that era. Yeah. So when he turned heel, I'm like, I hate Hulk Hogan. You know. So
Zach, do you know what a heel means?
I know what turning heel means. Okay. Like it's like when you're going against the.
No.
A heel is a bad guy.
To a bad guy.
Yeah.
So John Cena for the first time in his career.
I didn't even know this. I'm not up. I missed it.
You know, he's like, you know, loyalty, respect.
Sure.
And
said he was never going to turn heel.
I'll never go against this company or turn heel for what? I ain't got to. I'm the face of the company. And for him to turn heel and the way he turned heel, I thought that was the most craziest thing I've seen in years. You know, so The Rock is supposed to make this partnership with Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes tells The Rock to go yourself. Okay. You know, because the language is a little different because it's on Netflix now. So he's talking to himself, and John Cena gives Cody Rhodes a hug, and The Rock suddenly gives him the signal to, the plan B. And Cena whoops Cody Rhodes behind. It's just like, so it's
the old heads getting together,
right? So back in the day, he has a thing called the corporation. It's kind of like a new version of the corporation, but just to have Cena turn heel that way was like history repeating itself. But just now, Noah Curry 7, 8 years old.
So, yeah, how did Noah feel?
Yeah, he was just like this.
Because is he up on Cena? Because it's a little before his time.
No, but Cena always come in and out.
Okay.
And then, the colors, kids are attracted to the colors and the thing. Even though he's a
That's
Jey
true.
Uso and Jimmy Uso guy, that's just Noah favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, we have that argument all the time. Like,
so who's your top 4?
John Cena's definitely on the he's up there. So I will go Ric Flair, Cena, Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
There you go. If I you put me on a spot like that, then
okay,
right there, yeah. But I always go.
No Stone Cold, no Rock.
I mean, they at that time, Shawn Michaels was my guy. So then
I'm a Bret Hart guy.
Yeah, I like Bret Hart.
Didn't he die?
No, actually, he's one of the. You could have said that about like 95 different guys. He's one of the only ones who has not died yet.
Who died?
Owen is probably
Owen Hart.
His
Owen
brother died like in the middle.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I'm sorry to say that. Yes.
But there's a couple guys I like. That right there. When you say Mount Rushmore and you say W, you got to give an era. You got to get different eras, man.
Yeah.
There was so many great ones. You just like who's your Mount Rushmore of football? You got to give me eras. Like I can't just.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's so many different great elite talent at each position that came through that I just can't give you. You know what I mean? Unless it's just.
I think you need a wrestling show, Vinny.
Oh man, I think so too.
Bo knows people.
You know people who know people.
Yeah, Bo knows people.
I hope so.
Yeah.
The other super chat we have from Rob. Let's bring this back around. Let's bring this full circle. Who is the Eagles' best corner of the last 25 years? I think it probably is Slay. The last 25 years since 2000.
Yeah,
right? So Lito.
I'm aware of that period. Yeah.
I know you wrote about it. You could make a case for Lito.
No, I was going to ask you about Asante because that's one period of time I wasn't in Philly for. So both of you guys, but you in particular because you're a big advocate for Asante.
I'm a huge Asante fan.
Yeah,
and I believe he's criminally underrated nationally, and he deserves real Hall of Fame consideration.
Absolutely.
Because the most important thing you can do at the position is take the ball away, and he did it better than anybody in his era.
Do you really feel that way? That the most important thing you can do at the position is take the ball away?
Yes.
Okay. As opposed to like a shutdown cover corner who doesn't take the ball away?
Well, at the same time, you got to understand, like, Eagle fans, I'm going to take y'all down a little history. You got Troy Vincent, Bobby Taylor. Then you go from them two to Sheldon Brown and Leo Shepard, right?
Yeah.
And Sheldon is awesome. I love
And
Sheldon.
then from there, I think they jumped into the trade to get
then you
Nnamdi.
get Asante.
They had something, but they didn't after that. They tried to go get
Nnamdi and DRC.
You know what I mean? So then you got Nnamdi, you got DRC, and then
it was bad. It was Kerry Williams, Bradley Fletcher. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
So then Nolan Carroll.
Thing,
Even
though
Jalen Mills and Ronald Darby, Super Bowl.
Yeah, we Super Bowl. We got Super Bowl with them, but the same. But they also had even them. Think about how great the players are doing now. So Rasul, Rasul's a good,
he's
a
turned
top
into a
player.
good player.
You know what
I
I'm
agree.
saying? So what I'm saying is, them guys got thrown. He's a prime example of earlier a young guy getting thrown in the fire.
Rasul. That's absolutely right. And another prime example of even after that, he goes to Carolina, doesn't make it happen. Goes to Arizona and on the practice squad, doesn't make it happen. It takes like his fourth spot to finally get to the right place where he can prove to be the kind of player that he is, and he's like a Pro Bowl caliber player.
And was it ironic that that style of defense mirrors? It's about scheme.
Yeah,
I'm trying to tell you.
So my answer would be Troy Vincent. But again, that's
not the last 25 years.
Troy Vincent was in the last 25 years. Yeah.
I mean, for like 2 years, right?
So Troy. So from the 1990 season to the 1999 season to the 2024, the 2024 season.
P-Rod was
Troy Vincent played 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. Right.
Yeah.
So that was the same period of time as Slay.
Well, Slay was 7 years. Okay, whatever.
Slay played here for 5 years.
You're right.
Yeah. So
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay. Yeah. So I would lean toward Troy Vincent, but again, in my time covering the team, Slay's the best corner that they've had, and I mean, I think Lito's underrated. When you talk about takeaways, Lito took the ball away, but I would have to say too that that Asante period, when I just look at the numbers,
He was a dog.
that jumps out. It's just that team should have been better than they were. Yeah.
That conversation about taking the ball away, I think in today's NFL, it's a little bit different because it is there aren't guys who can do it consistently. Like the game has changed enough that there aren't that many interceptions. Back then, he was doing it at such a consistent level, and just to hear him talk about it, I mean, like on the field, a genius in terms of being able to read guys and bait guys. And it's not like he was getting cooked when he wasn't intercepting the ball. He was still a very good corner. You know, people will say that he wasn't as good enough as a tackler, but you know, if you're going to get me 9 interceptions a year, I think you can miss a couple tackles.
But it brings the conversation full circle too, because Nnamdi's probably one of the cautionary tales of free agency. How much scheme and fit and locker room fit and personality and how someone reacts when they get paid, like all of that matters next week. And that's why one of the things that when you speak to Howie or you speak to different executives around the league, you feel more comfortable paying your own guys than paying guys from outside the building. Now, the Eagles have done a remarkable job, frankly, and Bo talked about this, in identifying free agents. Like their track record is much higher. Their hit rate is much higher than the rest of the league. But you don't know that, you know, it's like a blind date, and you're paying a lot of money on a blind date here for some of these free agents. And Nnamdi was, I'll defer to you. You were there, but Nnamdi probably wasn't the best fit for that locker room.
I was a rookie.
Team. Okay.
So, I mean, if Nnamdi asked me to do a rookie duty, I still had to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what, you know what I mean? I didn't really get into that of things like that, but I was just a rookie and really looking at understanding, like, you all over the press conferences and listening to what people were saying and stuff like that, but that was crazy.
Yeah, the thing I've heard coaches, not as much executives, but they'll factor into it, is when a player sometimes works so hard to get that big contract, and then it's like now what? What's the carrot, right? It's the player needs to want to be so great, because when you have that money and it's guaranteed, it's like what's driving you to be the best player every day, right. And it has to be that like internal desire, or has to be the reputation or the legacy, whatever it may be. But you get to a point where you're not chasing the contract anymore.
Right, and that's why when you get a big play Slay and the way how he approaches the game, that is
good point.
That is, and there's no help. Like, yo, my man, I don't need no help over there. I don't need that. I was like, what are you saying? Like, so competitive, and that's where you want that to rub off on the young guys. You know what I mean? And you just like, and then if you go get something like you think it's like that for agency, and it's not like that. Now you're saying I want my money back. You know what I mean? So.
Best host in the city, bringing it back full circle from the beginning of the episode. Darius Slay, likely moving on as the Eagles prepare to release one of their best corners of the past 25 years. Vinny Curry, thank you so much for taking the time today, my friend. Good to have you in studio. We are back tomorrow. Once again, noon, live tomorrow, the PHLY Draft Show with Fran Duffy returns. And then 2 o'clock, Quackatology begins with Zach and Fran in studio. A big week ahead of next week's Open to Free Agency. We got a Mondo show coming Monday, taking you through all the live stuff. So exciting times here as the NPO rolls on the PHLY Eagles podcast. Thank you to Julia. Thank you to Vinny. Thank you to Zach. Thank you to Fran. We will talk to you tomorrow. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.